Welcome back for another video. Today we've got a special guest on the channel. He's finished top 10k 8 times, but as you probably saw from the video title, he's got an astonishing 5 top 1k finishes in the world. It's Tom Freeman making his debut on the channel as well. So it's a pleasure to have you, Tom. How are you? How's pre-season going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Oscar. Firstly, thanks for having me on. Kind of fully in pre-season mode now. So looking forward to getting into the draft. We're starting like a week on Friday from when we're recording this. So the friendlies are starting to mean a bit more. Looking forward to chatting about it.
And since it's your debut, can you just quickly tell us a little bit about yourself, like how you got into FPL? Have you got a play style?
Yeah, so I've been playing a long time. I started playing first like the Telegraph game. You probably can't remember that. You're probably too young.
I'm aware of it. Yeah, I never played it, but I'm well aware.
Yeah, that was my first intro into fantasy football. I think looking back, I think you were limited to about 20 transfers throughout the whole season. Wow. You had to manage that, so you could use them all up front, or you could use them a few every per month or whatever.
Right.
So I think I played for one season, but I wanted it to be a bit more hands-on than that, and then I found FPL, and I did okay in the first few seasons and didn't really look back. So I think this is probably like my 17th or 18th season, which sounds crazy. It makes me feel very old too. Still enjoying it, yeah.
Did that Telegraph one predate FPL, or was that in the early days after FPL launched?
Yeah, I think it was like what happens with a lot of people, I just got introduced to the Telegraph going with a group of mates, and I think 10 of us started playing, and so FPL was already running, but we just weren't aware of it at the time. And it was only this season after I think somebody mentioned it, and FPL was different there, but the fact that you could just have like a squad, you could sub in and out players, it just had a bit more kind of meat to it, I suppose. So that's been the fantasy game of choice since.
It's amazing how much the game's grown. Like that first FPL season, not even 100,000 signed up, so you were guaranteed a top 100k finish.
It's mad, and it's got so much more harder as well. Those early days, you would have like Scout and a few blogs. A guy called Chris Glover used to do a really good one back in the day, but it was the stat side of it was maybe quite niche at that point, whereas now it's just absolutely everywhere, and obviously getting harder and harder.
Yeah, these content creators are making everything more and more accessible. Let's have a look at your team, Tom. So you opted for Kinski in goal, and then you've gone Mosquera, you've gone Maguire and Vardiol in defence. So what's the thinking with the back three and the keeper choices?
Yeah, so firstly, I'm not playing a chip, or I haven't got any plans to play any chips until I am probably going to wildcard in game week 4. So that probably explains some of the picks that I'm going to go through. Kinski in goal. Always like to start the season with a cheap keeper, 4.5 ideally, and then I've paired them with a 4.0 as well. I think under De Zerbi last year, Spurs' defence improved for sure. Now, I think the play style is going to change a little bit this year. They've had a full pre-season, so I think it is going to be a bit different, but they've recruited well. Van Hecker, Senezi's come in, some better central midfielders as well. So I'm kind of happy with Kinski. He's been talked up a lot in pre-season as the number one. So I think I'm probably going to get, what am I going to get? I'm going to get Brentford, Newcastle, Forest away. So that feels okay for those first 3 game weeks.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he has been talked up a lot in pre-season, and obviously another thing that's been talked up loads is the early bench boost, like whether that's Gameweek 1 or 2, but you're looking to go later. So what's your reasoning that you're thinking not now, later?
Yeah, I've looked at bench boost 1 and 2, and I think they're like fine strategies for I completely get it, and there is appeal in bench boosting and then wild carding out of it, whereas I'm going to be doing the reverse of that. I'm going to wild card probably into a bench boost, and then I've obviously got a fair bit of money on the bench which I'm going to solely have to move away from. But I like the idea of the game week 4 wild card because I think I can potentially move off Bruno Fernandes, and because of that, then if I choose to bench boost, be it in game week 5 or maybe in game week 8 as well, because game week 8, a lot of the newly promoted teams, those cheap enablers, they've got home fixtures. So I'll probably do one of those two. But if I don't go with Bruno, then I can spread that money around a little bit more, hopefully build a stronger bench boost. Of course, there are a few cons to that. Like I said, I'm going to have to move off 1 or 2 of those players. But I think if I plan well, I can make it work. I'm not completely ruling out an early bench boost. For
Yeah.
instance, if Haaland isn't ready for game week 1, then that might instantly change things. But for now, that's the strategy I'm on.
Yeah, I was looking at Gameweek 4 as well, because you've got that Chelsea home to Hull, so yeah, it's an opportunity definitely to hop off your Man United picks.
Yeah,
Like in your midfield, you've got two Man United. I've got the same two actually. So you've got Mbumo, Bruno, Gross, and Szoboszlai. Yeah, Gameweek 4,
Yeah.
they're playing Man City, so there is a fixture swing there. So what's the thinking with the midfielders you've gone for?
Yes. So Bruno and Mbomo, just for those first two fixtures against away at Hull and home at Ipswich are just as good as you can get. I think Bruno will probably be my captain in the first couple of game weeks as well. Mbomo, given Sesko's situation, we're probably going to see him leading the line a bit. I think there's a good chance he'll do well over those first couple of game weeks. The other two picks, quite safe picks, I'd say. Nailed on potential penalties in Gross's case. I even think Szoboszlai will have a bit of a penalty share. I think that Isak will take them when he's on the pitch, but I don't think he's going to play for 90 minutes every week. And Oscar, Szoboszlai and Gross, they've got so many routes to points, haven't they?
It's a cliche, but it's so true. Yeah, same with Bruno. Yeah, these guys have just got plenty of ways they can get you something in any game week.
Set pieces. Szoboszlai's case, I think he'll play a bit deeper. I think he'll play central midfielder under Areola, at least at the beginning. So you've got a bit of DEFCON potential there as well. And I know from not owning some of these guys towards the end of the last season how annoying it can be as a non-owner, because they only need to get an attack in return. Suddenly they're in the mix for bonus. And suddenly, one return and you're talking 7-8 points, maybe more if you get DEFCON with that. So Brighton now for Gross have got this European tie on either side of game week 1, so I've got to look at that. But I think they're gonna, they're gonna go strong against my team Villa in game week 1. So I can't really see Gross not starting that one. And then he's got Chelsea away and Leeds at home, I think. So okay fixtures to start the season.
Yeah, so you've got some high-owned template players. You've got the likes of Bruno. You've also got a few differentials there. Do you actually pay any attention to effective ownership or ownership in general when you're making a decision week to week, or whether that's who to captain, who to transfer?
I think you've got to take it into account now, haven't you? I think that I guess FPL is all about kind of trying to find opportunities and things, I guess, where you think you can take on those big high-owned players, especially for captaincy. And certainly not advocating doing it all the time, but there will be opportunities in the season, when Haaland's maybe away from home, where you might think that, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to go for a lower owned player, and certainly towards the end of the season maybe more as well, when depending on what you rank, of course. But if you're looking to chase, then of course it becomes important. So you can't really get away from it nowadays, I don't think.
And so you're potentially looking at the Game Week 4 wildcard, but you're a little bit open on that. But beyond that, when you're making a transfer or when you do activate your wildcard, how far ahead are you looking? How far ahead are you looking with each player in mind? Is there a game week range?
I guess by default, I just kind of look at 6 game weeks, but it's so variable in the season. For this team now, it's just game week 1 to 3 in isolation, because I've got the wildcard planned after that. I think at the end of the season, if you've used your chips by kind of game week 30, 31, then obviously it's a longer horizon then. So it's it varies a lot. But I generally, when I load up the ticker on whatever platform you use, it tends to be 4 to 6 game weeks, really.
And you mentioned, if you see an opportunity to take on higher end players, you're happy to do that. Up front, you've got Haaland, fair enough. You've got Calvert-Lewin, fair enough. But you've got Isak as your third forward. And he's the one I've not seen in many drafts. He's 12% owned. Obviously, he's dropped 1.5 mil from where he started last year. I think he's 9 mil now. Scored a goal in pre-season, if I'm not mistaken. So you're backing him to sort of kick on them?
Yeah, he's expensive, isn't he? He's still expensive despite that price drop. But I've just got a feeling that he's going to kick on under Areola. I think that system that he will build there will be trying to get the best out of Isak as his main kind of goal scorer. I said earlier, I think he'll be on pens when he's on the pitch, and that's by no means confirmed. It's just a kind of a hunch I've got. And I guess that I'm backing him over João Pedro, who if you slot João Pedro in there for Isak, that feels like the template forward line at the moment. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm just going with Isak for partly because of that game week 4 wild card, because that's the Chelsea fixture swing then, which is when I'd probably be looking at Palmer and João Pedro. But for the first 3 game weeks, Isak, I would have Newcastle, Forest and Ipswich games, and then transition out of that after that potentially. Although if he's doing really well, I'll probably have a decision to make then.
Yes, that Ipswich away game in Gameweek 3 just makes me think, I'd love to find a way to squeeze Wirtz or Isak in, but I'm not finding a way I can do it that I'm happy with. But that's such a nice fixture right before the wild card.
And Wirtz is interesting too, isn't he? Playing in this number 10 role. We saw it at the weekend in the friendly. He's in the box a lot. He's in and around there. It was a bit of a goalmouth scramble for the goal he scored at the weekend, but he was right in there with Isak. So, I could still be tempted by him. But I think because I've got Isak, I'm expecting Isak to come off most weeks, 70, 75 minutes. So then putting him with Wirtz, I might be in a similar position with him. It's just something I quite like about starting the season with Szoboszlai and those kind of nailed minutes, barring injury or anything like that.
And I know you watch a lot of football and you've been following pre-season as well. You're doing articles on Scout. Where do you stand on data and eye test? Like when you're making the decisions, is it a bit of both, or are you more of a data guy, an eye test manager?
Yeah, a bit of a mix of the two, I think. I really like sites like Review and Solio are doing and things like that. But I love watching games as well. I love the kind of tactical side of it, analysis, that kind of thing. But I also kind of geek out on manager post-match interviews and stuff like that. Like I do Neil tends to do the scout notes from the Saturday matches, and I'll do the Sunday ones. And I really kind of like diving into those on the Sunday nights and kind of picking out quotes about players. So it's definitely a balance between the two. But you can't really get away from the data these days, can you? It's absolutely everywhere. It drives a lot of decisions, but always nice to kind of, when I watch a game, to then back it up by looking at the stats after, I guess. Right.
And I like what you've done with the bench. So, you've got this 4-mil keeper, you've got O'Shea, you've got Thomas, so you've got 4-mil defenders that are there. Slater, potentially a starter for Hull, but, at worst, cameo. So, when you're looking to book in that Game Week 4 wildcard, you're essentially looking at that and thinking, I can go absolute minimum on my bench here, stack the 11, and then I can fix that with the wildcard and then balance it.
Yeah, exactly that, Oscar. Yeah, so, I mean, the thinking is O'Shea is a good first sub in Game Week 1. Thomas can shift to that position in Game Week 2. He could be a starter, but for that whole game, and that might kind of help me. There's going to be a lot of bench boosts in play, isn't there? A lot of Coventry defenders, and maybe playing Thomas, or if they do get a clean sheet, then I get a little piece of that. Slater's there, Hull are going to bring in a lot of new players, aren't they? It's really difficult to know if he's going to be a starter, but he looks okay for now. But hopefully won't need him. Yeah,
that'd be an interesting decision, because obviously Brighton have got the Europa Conference League qualifiers either side of Game Week 1, and they've got Chelsea away Game Week 2, which is a difficult fixture, let alone in the context of that midweek game. So you've got that option to give Thomas the start if you want to there.
Yeah, and I might do that, looking at it and just working out who I can kind of bring him in for. So it's a thin bench, but you've got a couple of good fixtures in there. And then if I do wildcard in Game Week 4, I think I mentioned it earlier, but bench boost 5 could work. I've had a look at it, and there's cheap defenders like Mikolenko and Ole Aina who have got good fixtures that week. I think Newcastle play Hull at home, so I'm kind of hoping a couple of enablers emerge from them as well. So that would be something to look at a few weeks down the line and trying to pinpoint those players.
That's a good note to finish on. Tom's profile is going to be in the description, so go give him a follow, guys. Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and chat.
Thanks for having me on, mate. Speak to you soon.